Well, good morning, YouTube. We are back at the house that had called me out at 2 a.m. for the midnight service calls, and we are going to go ahead and do the maintenance. And I figured I'd take you along for a ride just for the follow-up to the service call. So, I hope you enjoy the ride along. Well, here we are. We've got an Ultra Zone by EWC. Got a Bryant air handler, and it doesn't look so healthy, really. Nice and dirty on the outside anyway. I don't believe that that zone system is actually hooked up any longer. I believe that they had bypassed the zoning, but as we dig through it we'll find out. I'll go ahead and get the panels off and check the condition of the evaporator coil and go from there. Whenever I do an install, I always put a clean out on P-traps. I'll come off with a threaded fitting and then put a vertical T, sort of like what Gray Furnace Man was talking about as far as the P-trap, so that I can clean it out. And on a negative pressure I'll take the cap and put a cap on the clean out. And then after the P-trap I will put a vent and stand it up taller than the primary outlet and leave that uncapped. In this situation, since I don't have a clean out here, I'm going to go ahead and cut it out and put in a P-trap also, so I can get this door off to where I can get to the coil without as much frustration. But just wanted to describe that to you. This is exactly why I put clean outs on drains, so that you don't have that kind of garbage. When I cut it open, this is what I found, and you can tell she wasn't draining water very well at all. So the clean out definitely allows you to clean it when you do maintenance. If the customer neglects to do maintenance, you can't help that, but when they decide to do maintenance, at least you've got an option to easily clean it without having to cut it and do any extra work that is not necessary. This is absolutely crazy. I was just giving it a visual and went to move the TXV bulb just to see if it was tight, because I actually noticed that this factory strap was hanging out down here. So I noticed that it moved very freely and that it probably had no strap on it. The insulation was taped around it, and that's all it is, just hanging out. I'm amazed that we had fairly normal pressures whenever I was checking it at 2 a.m. Of course, I did not take superheat and subcool, but at 2 a.m., if you make it run again and it blows cool air, I think that you're somewhat justified once you've made a recommendation to, give the system a thorough clean and inspection. And it's just crazy that this happens. The coil is absolutely disgusting. It looks like we've got dead animals in there, actually. It's probably just insulation, but it's absolutely gross. That's just deplorable. I don't generally go straight to a pull and clean, but in this situation I think that's pretty much our only option. But as you can see, the coil's rusted as crap. And I think I'm going to go ahead and leak search it before I bother pulling it out. If it's leaking, change the coil, and you've got a clean coil to start with. You got to pull the refrigerant out to do a pull and clean anyway, so you might as well change the coil when it looks like this. We've got the ball bin, tail up, insulated, and I'm going to rephrase what I said about pull and clean. Clean the lens. When I say I don't usually recommend a pull and clean, it is strictly because most of the time in my experience, when you need to pull and clean a coil, you should probably go ahead and just replace the coil in the first place. Certainly some systems will accumulate quicker with no reason to change a coil, and you're at that point a pull and clean may be your only choice. But if it's an old system with an old coil and it's rusting to pieces, you're better off replacing the coil than you are to simply charge or spend the money on a recovery vacuum and recharge. You're just better off replacing it. We run somewhere around $700 to recover, evacuate, and recharge, and our cheapest coil is $1,800. But typically, to me, if the coil is dirty enough to absolutely require a pull and clean, you might as well change a coil. So if I can't get it clean enough for a while in position, I recommend replacing the coil rather than spending half of the money to just pull and clean. So there you have it. There's my typical drain setup for a heat pump. Cap on the clean out, vertical T so I can get my brush down in there, and then I typically do not glue my vent stack, so that if I needed to, I could get a brush down in here to push that way a little more. I'm going to go ahead and pour a gallon of water down the drain and make sure that it runs. We've got a disaster for a blower motor wheel also. This is all nasty. We'll check that capacitor with no load for now and go from there. Well, we're ready for a condenser coil clean. It's not terrible, but definitely needs cleaned. So we're gonna get that taken care of before we bother checking the charge. In this situation, I've done what I can to the evaporator coil, which isn't much, and I'm going to recommend a pull and clean of the evaporator coil and a pull and clean of the blower motor and squirrel cage. Ultimately, it's a 2005 system. It's coming on 10 years, but you know, as long as we're not leaking, which my leak search inside came up with nothing, it wouldn't be beyond reason to spend a little money to get the system clean and fully functional at its best, with the understanding that you have to maintain the system and keep it clean through the rest of its life. But if you want it to last much longer, definitely need to pull and clean both the blower wheel and the evaporator coil.
So there you have it. We're all finished. We have offered to pull and clean the blower and wheel, pull and clean the evaporator coil, and add a ultraviolet light to the unit to help keep the potential for biological growth from occurring. And she is going to contact us when she's ready to take care of those items. System is not running 100% proper, but it's been keeping them comfortable. So whenever she's ready, we'll go from there and try and get it to where it actually works like it should. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and share, and we'll see you on the next one.